When I had a persistent high fever, my girlfriend Evelyn was actually accompanying her first love. After answering my call, she said impatiently and reproached me. "There's anti-fever medicine in the medicine cabinet. You can look for it yourself. Henry is having an episode and he needs my company more. Don't cause trouble." The call was hung up, and I saw the post that her first love Henry had shared on his social media status a minute ago. "Fortunately, you're here, making me feel that the world is still worth lingering for." The accompanying picture was a photo of Evelyn holding a water glass and feeding him medicine. Instead of questioning or making a scene, I gave it a like. After that, whenever she went to accompany her first love, no matter how long it took, I didn't ask or care. Until later, her first love posted their wedding photos and tagged me. I smiled and said, "Congratulations to you too. When are you going to get the marriage certificate?" Evelyn finally panicked. With red eyes and a wronged look, she asked me, "You're just saying angry words, right?" The moment I saw Henry's social media post, I suddenly felt very tired. It's really ridiculous that when I was sick, my girlfriend went to feed medicine to another man. If it had been before, I would have been so provoked that I'd immediately call and bombard Evelyn, making a huge scene. But this time, I was tired. Mutual friends in the comments section all liked and commented on Henry's post. "Even though you broke up, you're still family to each other. You make me believe that there's a kind of relationship in the world that surpasses love and is stronger than family affection. Come on." The words, "a family," on the screen stabbed me deeply. 2 months ago, Evelyn and I went to take wedding photos. The staff complimented us. "You two really look like a couple. No wonder you can become a family." Evelyn calmly retorted, "We're not a family yet. We haven't even got the marriage certificate." That day, both the staff and I were very embarrassed. After being in love for 3 years and on the verge of getting married, I wasn't considered family to her. Henry, who grew up with her as childhood sweethearts, was the family member she tacitly acknowledged. I raised my burning hot finger and followed suit by giving Evelyn's post a like. I got out of bed with great difficulty to look for the medicine. As soon as my feet touched the ground, I felt dizzy, and I fell heavily to the floor. At this moment, Evelyn sent me a message. "Don't think too much. You know that Henry has depression and can't be stimulated. You've taken the medicine, right? Have a good rest. I'll be back later." The cold floor made my muddled head a bit more awake. She was always like this, standing on the moral high ground and casually blaming me, and then coaxing me. I was hysterical like a madman, while she was calm and composed like a wise person. I always forgave her in her belated tenderness, but this time, I didn't want to. I got up with difficulty. Instead of replying to her, I turned off my phone. After taking the medicine, I didn't have the strength to climb back into bed, so I simply covered myself with a blanket on the sofa and fell into a deep sleep. In the middle of the night, I felt a pair of cold hands gently caressing my forehead. I tried hard to open my eyes, and it was Evelyn. "James, are you feeling better? Why are you sleeping on the sofa again? I told you not to wait for me." In the past, whenever she came home late, I would wait for her on the sofa. But this time it wasn't the case. "I'm not waiting for you. I just want to sleep here," I replied indifferently in a hoarse voice. A look of guilt flashed across Evelyn's face. "All right, let me help you back to bed." She reached out to hug me, but I pushed her away. "No need. I'll just sleep here. It's fine." I turned over and faced away from her, not speaking anymore. Feeling her gaze behind me, I surprisingly didn't feel the slightest ripple and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning when I woke up, my fever had completely subsided. After washing up, I made breakfast for myself. Just as I was about to eat, Evelyn came out. She glanced at the breakfast on the table and said discontentedly, "You know I don't like porridge." "Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't make yours," I said indifferently. Evelyn looked at me in disbelief. For the past 3 years, I had been the one to make breakfast. She liked Western-style breakfast, but I had a stomach problem and preferred to drink hot porridge. To cater to her, I forced myself to eat Western-style breakfast for 3 years. The aroma of the porridge filled my mouth, and I felt a long-lost warmth. "James, are you still holding a grudge? I explained yesterday that Henry's situation was really dangerous. I knew you were sick yesterday, so I came back early, but you gave me a cold shoulder." Her expression became gloomier as she spoke. "I'm not angry. I had a really high fever yesterday and just wanted to sleep, so I didn't want to move." I took a sip of the porridge and said indifferently, "If you're not angry, why did you push me away last night? Why did you deliberately not make my breakfast today?" Evelyn raised her voice. I put down my chopsticks and still said indifferently. I've explained it. I didn't want to move last night. I wanted to have porridge today, but you don't like it, so I didn't make yours. If you want to eat something, order takeout yourself. I stood up, ignored her, and started packing my things to go to work. Behind me, I heard the sound of Evelyn throwing things. It was really strange. In the past, when I was driven crazy by her, she could remain calm and watch me lose my temper with her arms crossed. But this time, when I wasn't jealous and remained calm, it was her turn to go crazy. It was really crazy. I didn't have time to care about her and went to the company. After arriving at the office, I knocked on the door of General Manager Lucas. General Manager Lucas, I've thought it over. I'm willing to go and stay in the United States for a long time to expand the business there. Really? General Manager Lucas looked delighted and asked me with his eyes wide open. 2 months ago, he called me to his office and persuaded me to consider this overseas assignment opportunity. A man should naturally focus on his career. As long as you're willing to go there, I'll double your salary, and the commission will be calculated separately. In the future, this experience will also be a significant addition to your resume. He tried hard to persuade me, but I was in a dilemma because of Evelyn. At that time, I couldn't bear to be separated from her because we were about to get married. But now? Yeah, really. I've thought it through. Hearing this, General Manager Lucas clapped his hands in joy and kept praising me for finally coming to my senses. Yeah, working hard won't be in vain, but loving someone with all your heart is very likely to leave you broken-hearted. I don't want to love anyone else anymore. I want to love myself. After work, I didn't go home immediately. Instead, I went to celebrate with my colleagues. They were all happy for me and said that I, the henpecked husband, had finally come to my senses. I didn't respond. I just drank cup after cup and had quite a lot of alcohol. When I got home, it was exactly 10 o'clock at night. When I opened the door, I found Evelyn waiting for me with a table full of dishes. Why didn't you answer the phone? Do you still remember what day it is today? I was taken aback and tried hard to think for a long time, but I couldn't remember. Today is the 3rd anniversary of our acquaintance. Her face darkened, and she handed me an exquisite gift box from behind her back. I took it and smiled apologetically at her. Thank you, but I forgot, so I didn't prepare a gift for you. How about I send you a red packet and you can buy something you like yourself? In the past 3 years, I would carefully prepare a gift every time. But she either thought the gifts I chose were flashy and impractical or disliked my taste. On her birthday last year, I specially went to the specialty store in advance to buy the luxury bag she liked, but she accused me of choosing the wrong color. In the middle of the night, without even having dinner, she dragged me back to the store to exchange it for another one. So, this time I planned to directly give her a red packet. Since I could never buy something that she really liked, I'd let her buy what she wanted herself. I thought she would happily accept it, but I didn't expect her eyes to well up with tears. James, you're still angry with me, right? Do you not love me anymore? You're even too lazy to choose a gift for me. In the past, no matter what conflicts we had, whether it was a quarrel or a cold war, as long as she asked this question, would immediately respond to her as if by reflex. Don't think too much. I love you. I've always loved you. And then make up with her. But this time, the words just wouldn't come out of my mouth no matter how hard I tried. Look, I even hurt my hand while making this table of dishes for you. Evelyn held out her hand with an adhesive bandage in front of me. This was the first time she had cooked for me. In the past, I had only seen her cooking for Henry on social media. At that time, we had a huge argument. She said that Henry was a patient, and why should she cook for me when I had hands and feet? Seeing my expression was hard to read, Evelyn said cautiously, I'm sorry. I'll keep a distance from Henry in the future. I was a bit surprised and said, oh, it's up to you. Do whatever makes you happy. But her eyes turned red. I know you're still angry, but can you please not treat me like this? I was a bit confused. I said I'm not angry. She was stunned, and her expression changed from sad to angry. If you're not angry, why do you suddenly seem like a completely different person? If you're angry, you can take it out on me. Can you stop being so indifferent and sarcastic? In the past, I really was always jealous of Henry and would quarrel with her, but she would casually and calmly scold me. Now, I don't care anymore. Why can't she accept it? Calm down. I'm really not angry. With red eyes, she asked me, then why did you deliberately not come home today and even drink outside? I was busy with the job transfer. I had to dine with others. I didn't mean not to come home on purpose. I explained seriously, planning to tell her that we should break up when she asked, and that I was going abroad. But she didn't ask. Instead, she just turned cold. Okay, whatever. She stood up, poured all the food into the trash can, and slammed the door as she left. For the next 3 days, Evelyn didn't come home. I was busy with the job handover and didn't have the time to care about her anymore. While working overtime at night, I suddenly saw Henry tag me in his social media post. I clicked in and saw a photo where Evelyn, in a wedding dress, was snuggling beside him, and the two of them were smiling at each other. The caption read, "Thank you, Evelyn, for helping me fulfill my dream. Since I got sick, getting married has become a luxury. It's good to have a photo as a memento. I hope James doesn't mind." I smiled and replied, "Congratulations to you too. When are you going to get the marriage certificate?" After all, he had been pushing his luck. From initially needing Evelyn's company to taking wedding photos with her. The next step, it wouldn't be surprising if he wanted to marry her. In the end, he might rely on his depression and ask Evelyn to have a child for him. I could see clearly this kind of moral kidnapping, but Evelyn couldn't. After sending that reply, Henry didn't say anything more. I muted my phone and continued to focus on my work. After finishing all the handover work, I found more than a dozen missed calls and dozens of messages from Evelyn. "Don't you understand humor? Can't you tell that was a joke? Henry's depression has gotten worse. I was just doing my best to help him fulfill his wish. Don't be angry, okay? I won't marry someone else. I've already accepted your proposal. James, do you not want to marry me anymore, so you're eager to push me onto someone else? Do you still love me or not? Say something." I didn't reply but walked out of the company with my colleagues. Downstairs, I immediately saw Evelyn waiting there. How long had she been waiting there? The moment she saw me, a glimmer of light flashed in her eyes, and she walked over quickly. "You guys chat first. We'll wait for you over there." Amidst my colleagues calling her sister-in-law, one after another, Evelyn pulled me aside. "Why didn't you answer the phone or reply to my messages?" I gently shook off her hand and retorted, "Aren't you with Henry? Why did you leave him and come here? Aren't you afraid something might happen to him?" These were the words she often said, which had been engraved in my mind. She was taken aback and said irritably, "Are you still angry because of his social media post? I already said that was a joke. If you don't like it, I'll ask him to delete it." I shrugged. "No need. It doesn't matter. Let it be." A trace of annoyance flashed across Evelyn's face, and she exploded in a low voice, "Then what else do you want? I've already come to see you. Isn't that enough?" In the past, whenever we quarreled, she would run away from home, and I would go crazy looking for her everywhere. Until she was willing to come back, would immediately forgive everything happily. In her eyes, coming to see me now was a silent apology and a huge step for me to reconcile. "Evelyn, you really know how to joke." I let out a soft laugh. "If I went to take care of another woman when you were sick and showed our wedding photos with her to make you angry during a quarrel, what would your reaction be?" Her face turned pale. If it were her, she would have already made a big scene and wanted to break up with me, and she might even have attacked that woman. But when it came to me, she wanted me to silently accept all of this. Why? Even now, she couldn't even say an apology. Why? Seeing that I didn't look pleased, Evelyn finally spoke. "Sorry. Henry was wrong about this. I apologize to you on his behalf." Looking at her tightly clenched fists, I laughed even louder. "Evelyn, from the past to now, all the things he could use to hurt me were given to him by you personally. So, the person who can really hurt me is you. No need to apologize for him. The one who should apologize from beginning to end is you." She shuddered all over, clenched her fists even tighter, and the veins on the back of her hands bulged. In the 3 years we were together, she had never been at such a disadvantage. Even when it came to apologizing, it was almost always my job. Even if she was in the wrong, in the end, would take the blame on my own initiative. But this time, I was being tough and coldly asking her to apologize. She opened her mouth, seemingly a bit unwilling, but couldn't make any sound. "James, the guys are all waiting to give you a farewell dinner. You can talk things over with your sister-in-law at home slowly." A colleague came over, put his arm around my shoulder, and joked with a smile. "Sister-in-law, don't be sad. You can just go to the United States with James. 3 years is not a short time. It would really be a bit cruel to be separated." Upon hearing this, Evelyn was completely stunned. She grabbed my arm and asked in a trembling voice, "What farewell dinner? What is he talking about?" The colleague sensed that something was wrong with her and looked confused, saying, "Don't you know, sister-in-law? James is about to be sent abroad to the United States on a long-term assignment. Today is his last day at the company. Evelyn's face turned as pale as paper, and she asked me in a trembling voice if it was true. I nodded. I'm going to have dinner with my colleagues now. You can take a taxi home first. I really couldn't bring myself to ask her to come with me because in the past, Evelyn had always refused to attend such gatherings. But today, she held onto my arm tightly and stubbornly said, I'm going with you. I shook my head and shook off her hand. Go back first. I have something to talk to you about tonight. Her body trembled, and she bit her lower lip tightly as she stared at me. Let's go. I turned around and pulled my colleague away. In the car, the colleague asked me, James, didn't you tell your sister-in-law? Don't call her sister-in-law anymore. We're going to break up. I calmly uttered these words, and my colleague was really surprised, but in the end, didn't say much. At the farewell dinner, I drank a lot of wine because I was happy. It wasn't just for my career but also for my bright future life. In the past 3 years, I had lived in fear, afraid of making Evelyn unhappy in any way. But now, I no longer had to worry about making her unhappy. Finally, I didn't love her anymore. When I got home, it was already 11 o'clock at night. For the first time, Evelyn came up to help me get my slippers and hang up my clothes. Smelling the alcohol on me, instead of frowning, she softly said, You have a weak stomach. I'll make you a cup of honey water. No need. I have something to talk to you about. I spoke to stop her, but she shuddered all over and quickly went to the kitchen. As if she knew that what I was going to say was something she couldn't accept. But I was a bit puzzled. In the 3 years we were together, she had never shown that she loved me very much. She was always aloof. Even when I proposed to her, she asked me to do it privately and not to have too many people witness it. All these things showed that she didn't love me enough. For Henry's sake, she would abandon me countless times. So, if I let go, it would be good for all 3 of us. Evelyn brought the honey water and squatted beside me expectantly, looking up at me. I let out a sigh and took a sip. The warm honey water went down my throat and reached my stomach, making me feel much more comfortable. In the past, Evelyn also knew that I had a weak stomach. But she had never shown any initiative in caring about it. It was only when she realized that I was going to leave her that she started making these belated remedies. Evelyn, let's break up. I said softly, looking at her seriously. She bit her lip tightly, shook her head desperately, and there was a mist in her eyes. I don't agree. I won't break up with you. We agreed that we were going to get married this year, didn't we? But Evelyn, a marriage without love is doomed to be unhappy. I don't love you anymore. Finally saying these words, I felt completely relaxed. Her face turned deathly pale, and she stared at my face, even forgetting to cry. It seemed that she was desperately trying to find signs that I was lying. No, I don't believe it. You're lying to me, right? Do you want to punish me? I already know I was wrong. James, don't scare me anymore, okay? Her voice was trembling, and a glimmer of hope appeared in her eyes. I let out a sigh. Evelyn, you know that I never say angry words out of spite. In the past, whenever she was even a little bit unhappy, she would say angry words and threaten to break up with me. I would immediately reflect on what I had done wrong, quickly coax her, and beg her not to break up, promising that I would change. This was the first time I was saying we should break up like this. She plopped down on the floor. Is it because of Henry? If it's because of him, I'll delete all his contact information right now. She asked me eagerly, but I shook my head. I made it very clear to you downstairs in the company today. The root cause of our problems lies within us. Outsiders just made the situation worse. Evelyn, when I was with you, I believe I have a clear conscience. But you couldn't give me the feeling of a home, and I'm tired. I stood up, not wanting to say more, and prepared to pack my things. Evelyn hugged me from behind. The warm tears soaked through my shirt. No. I don't want to break up with you. I'll change, I will change. James, I still love you. I really love you. Have you forgotten the promise you made when you proposed to me? I was shocked. Before I could recall it, Evelyn's phone rang. I gently pushed her away. These past few days, haven't you been with Henry? Aren't you afraid something will happen to him if you just leave him like this? These were the words she often said, and they had been engraved in my muscle memory. He has to live without me, doesn't he? Do I really have to spend my whole life taking care of him? I have my own life too. Evelyn said sternly. Don't say that. You've even taken wedding photos together. He can be considered your family. I smiled softly, but Evelyn lowered her head. I didn't expect him to specifically tag you in his social media post. I'm sorry. I was calm, but my smile was a bit cold. It doesn't matter, but that's it. From now on, whoever you want to take care of, whoever you want to take wedding photos with, and whoever you want to marry, it has nothing to do with me anymore. Seeing that I was about to leave, Evelyn grabbed me and answered the phone. Before I could say the heartless words, Henry's mother's anxious voice came through. Evelyn, where have you gone? Henry has tried to commit suicide. Evelyn's hand holding the phone trembled, and she glanced at me uneasily. The middle-aged woman's voice became even more shrill. Say something. Henry tried to commit suicide because of you. Come to the hospital and see him quickly. Evelyn composed herself and hesitated before speaking. Auntie, I can't make it. I still have something to be busy with. Please stay with him first. I'll come over as soon as I'm done, okay? You're trying to kill my son. He regards you as the closest person. How can he go on living if you don't come? Auntie is begging you. Come and see him, okay? Please, for my sake. The middle-aged woman's voice became more and more tragic and mournful. Evelyn swayed on her feet and looked up at me pleadingly. I nodded and smiled. Go ahead. You don't need to ask me. We've already broken up. Evelyn's face turned pale. She gritted her teeth and said resolutely, Auntie, Henry is not a child anymore. If death is a relief for him, then let him be. I can't keep revolving around him forever. I have my own family and life too. After saying these words, ignoring the woman's wailing, she turned off her phone. I couldn't help but laugh a little. So she also knew that Henry was an adult and she could leave him alone. But before, when I tried to stop her from going, she would just scold me harshly. Henry has depression. Can't you be more magnanimous? We're just good friends now. What's wrong with me showing some concern for him? The confident her in the past had now changed completely. Indeed, human nature can be base. When they know they won't lose something, they will keep pushing until they are about to lose it, and then they will reflect on themselves. James, don't worry. I mean what I say. I won't care about Henry anymore from now on. She held my hand tightly. The cold and slippery touch made my eyebrows twitch. I pulled my hand back and said in a low voice, Evelyn, I've already made it very clear. What you do from now on has nothing to do with me. After saying that, I strode back to the room and started packing my things. Evelyn chased after me, sat down dejectedly against the door frame, and wept silently. In the past, I couldn't bear to see her cry the most. But now, I turned a blind eye and just felt a bit annoyed. I had very few things. In the 3 years we were together, I hardly bought any clothes. The entire wardrobe was filled with Evelyn's things, and my things couldn't even fill a suitcase. When I was packing the tie she gave me, I hesitated for a few seconds and hung it back up. Seeing this, Evelyn sobbed and asked me, Do you hate me so much that you don't even want the things I gave you? I remained silent and dragged the suitcase to the study. In the past few years, in order to give her a better life, I studied hard and bought a lot of books. While packing, a brown paper envelope fell out of one of the books. It was the love letter Evelyn wrote to me back then. It expressed her admiration for me and her desire to be with me. I suddenly remembered that I used to be excellent enough to be chased and fought over by others. But in the following 3 years, my edges and corners were completely worn down, and all my pride and self-esteem disappeared. Fortunately, it's not too late to wake up now. I curled my lips. Under Evelyn's expectant gaze, I threw the envelope into the trash can. The color drained from her face instantly, and she rushed forward in a panic. This is the proof of our love. You said you would cherish it for a lifetime. How can you just throw it away? She bent down and fished the envelope out of the trash can. Her eyes were full of heartache and grievance. Since we've broken up, there's naturally no need to keep it. I said indifferently. Evelyn finally realized that when I said we were breaking up, I wasn't joking. When I said I was leaving, I wasn't acting or threatening her either. I really was going to leave. She couldn't hold it in any longer and burst into tears. I was wrong, James. I was wrong. Please don't do this, okay? Give me a chance. I ignored her and just packed the books by myself. Then I stood up, dragged the suitcase, and walked around her. She hugged my legs tightly and cried heart-wrenchingly. In the midst of my annoyance, the doorbell rang. It was urgent and high-pitched, showing the anxiety of the person outside. Evelyn stood up, wiped away her tears, and opened the door. Evelyn, do you really have the heart to leave me alone? Weren't we supposed to be a family? The person who came was Henry. His face was pale, and he held up his wrist wrapped in thick gauze. Upon closer inspection, there were red bloodstains seeping through. The middle-aged woman supporting him beside him should be his mother. "Evelyn, my son is going to extremes because of you. You're so heartless." Before she could react, the woman pushed her aside and helped Henry walk inside. When she saw me dragging the suitcase, she immediately got angry. "Did you stop her from going to the hospital?" I spread my hands and smiled. "You've misunderstood. I'm about to move out. We've already broken up." The woman's expression softened a bit, and a glimmer of joy flashed in Henry's eyes. "Evelyn, did I cause you two to break up?" He suppressed the joy in his eyes and turned to look at Evelyn nervously. This pitiful expression was truly that of a green tea person. In the past, this trick always worked, and Evelyn would always soften her heart and protect him. But now, it didn't work anymore. "Yes. If it weren't for your appearance, James and I wouldn't have ended up like this. It's all your fault. What are you doing here to find me now?" Evelyn stepped forward quickly and asked sternly. I had never seen her like this before, and the two of them were stunned. Henry's mother was the first to speak. "How can you say that? I took good care of you when you were a child, didn't I? You said we were a family. Now you want to distance yourself from us for a man? Do you have any conscience?" A trace of compassion flashed across Evelyn's face, and she said in a low voice, "Auntie, please take Henry back first. I'll explain to you after I deal with my own matters." After saying that, she turned around and grabbed me who was about to leave. "Don't go, James. This is our home, and we still have a lot to talk about." I sneered, "We've already broken up. This is no longer my home. Miss Evelyn, you'd better explain to your own family." Evelyn was about to say something more, but was interrupted by Henry's mournful voice. "Evelyn, why don't you tell him that you confessed to him just to get back at me? You don't love him at all. Why are you leaving me now and going to marry him?" He came over and grabbed Evelyn, his eyes red. Evelyn panicked and shook off his hand, shaking her head desperately. But I was intrigued by Henry's words and motioned for him to continue. "James, now that things have come to this, I won't hide it anymore. Think for yourself. How long had you two known each other when she confessed to you? Don't you think it was sudden?" I thought about it carefully, and it was indeed the case. 3 years ago, Evelyn joined the company for the first time. She was as pure as a blank sheet of paper. Other seasoned employees would deliberately assign her the most thankless tasks, but she worked conscientiously and often worked overtime. One late night, when I came out of my office and saw that she was still working overtime, I was somewhat touched. Although she wasn't an employee in my department, her hardworking attitude influenced me. I treated her to a cup of coffee and shared some of my late-night snacks with her. At that time, she smiled with her eyes and eyebrows curving, and her eyes were shining brightly. After chatting, I learned that she had come to Shanghai after graduating from university to escape her original family. She said that as long as she could settle down here steadily, she was willing to endure any hardship. From then on, I would assist her in working overtime to complete some difficult tasks. Until after the 3-month probation period, she was commended and officially became a member of the company. She was very happy that day and said she would treat me to a meal. She drank a lot of wine. On the way I was sending her home, she leaned in and kissed me. She said, "James, I like you. Will you be my boyfriend?" Perhaps it was the time we spent together during that period that made me also a little attracted to her. Perhaps it was because the song, "Love in a Lifetime," was playing in the car that day, and I thought our encounter was destiny. Just like that, instead of pushing her away, I deepened that kiss with the fragrance of gardenias. Looking back now, it was indeed too sudden. Seeing me frowning and thinking, Henry continued, "That's because my dad arranged a blind date for me at that time. He was addicted to gambling and was in a hurry to pay off his debts, so he forced me to marry that wealthy but disabled woman. Seeing that the debt collectors were chasing after us and our family was in chaos, I had no choice but to agree. Originally, Evelyn and I had an agreement to be together after graduating from university, but I broke my promise. She was very sad, scolded me for betraying our vow, and then left our hometown and came to this city." He gave a bitter smile. "Not long after she left, my dad died of alcohol poisoning. His debts became bad debts, and I didn't have to marry that woman anymore. So I came to find her, but she told me that she was already with you." I suddenly understood. No wonder during that period, Evelyn suddenly seemed like a different person. She was no longer gentle and caring towards me. Instead, her temper gradually became irritable, and she even quit her job. I just thought she was unhappy with her work and comforted her that it didn't matter, and that I would support her. It turned out that during that period, Henry would go to see her every day, begging her to come back to him. Although she said she loved you, every time I went to find her, she would drop everything to see me, which is enough to prove that she still has feelings for me in her heart. James, I've already missed her once. I can't miss her a second time. You're so proud. You won't accept having a partner who still has someone else in their heart, right? He was right about the last sentence. A fine and dense pain welled up in my heart. I finally understood why she would always soften her heart towards Henry. It turned out that it wasn't just because they were childhood sweethearts, but also because she had always had feelings for him. Being with me was just a choice out of spite at the beginning. She wanted to use me to make Henry regret it. She succeeded. From beginning to end, I was like a clown. No, James. Don't listen to him. Trust me. Evelyn stepped forward eagerly and grabbed my hand. I pried her fingers apart one by one and said in a low voice, Evelyn, please stop talking. Just let me go, okay? You will be punished for deceiving my feelings. I stood up and left without looking back. Evelyn behind me burst into tears. Not long after I flew abroad, I received a call from a colleague. He told me that Evelyn had come back to work in the company. She specifically requested to sit in her previous seat, and it didn't matter even if the salary was a bit lower. I just said, oh, and indicated that it had nothing to do with me. We had already broken up. My colleague was a bit surprised but didn't say anything more. In the following months, I was always busy with work, running around everywhere, and completely left Evelyn behind. Once, when she threatened to break up with me, I was very panicked and couldn't imagine a life without her. But now, I've completely left her, and I can live even better. The free air, the work that I can handle with ease, and the gradually improving life. I no longer have to carefully watch her expression, nor do I have to consider what she likes to eat. I can fully consider myself and care about myself. Half a year later, I completed my first project and earned a large sum of money for the company. General Manager Lucas called me back to celebrate the achievement, and I happily boarded the return flight. When I arrived at the restaurant, it was already 9 o'clock in the evening. Among the crowd who stood up to greet me was Evelyn. She had lost a lot of weight, and her originally confident and beautiful face now looked a bit nervous. Long time no see. How are you? She stepped forward to shake my hand and asked in a low voice. I smiled and nodded, then took my seat gracefully. Everyone started toasting and praising my contributions. Only a few colleagues in the department knew that Evelyn and I had once been in a relationship, and General Manager Lucas was not aware of it. He raised his glass and loudly praised me. Originally, I was worried that you would give up a great opportunity for a woman. Now it seems that I was wrong. Not to mention a woman, as long as someone is a rational person, they will admire the strong. If you just keep revolving around her all day long like you used to, she won't cherish you. Everyone nodded in agreement, and a few colleagues glanced at Evelyn. Her expression was a bit stiff, and she coughed softly and took a sip of wine. I heard that you've already broken up. Congratulations. It's a good thing. You're still young, and this is the time to work hard. Don't be foolish enough to step into the grave of marriage. With all the trivial matters tying you down, you won't achieve anything in the second half of your life. General Manager Lucas clinked glasses with me and said boldly. I smiled and nodded, then drained my glass in one gulp. In the past, I didn't agree with these words. I always thought that a man should establish a family first and then start a career. But after being hurt by love, I finally understood. Pouring my feelings into a person may lead to betrayal. But pouring my enthusiasm into work, it won't let me down and will give me the rewards I want. In the corner, Evelyn's face was so pale that it reflected the light. After the gathering ended, I declined my colleagues and planned to call a car to go back to the hotel to rest. Let me give you a ride. Evelyn came up to me wearing high heels. I smiled and refused. Miss Evelyn, you have a boyfriend now. You should know how to avoid suspicion. After going to the United States, I often saw Henry's social media posts showing off his affection. Evelyn was taken aback, furrowed her brows and said, I don't have a boyfriend. Who told you that? I opened my phone and was about to show her Henry's social media post, but I found that there was only a horizontal line. I had been blocked, but it didn't matter anymore. Seeing my action, Evelyn instantly understood something. I'm not with Henry. Don't believe whatever he posts. Her voice was anxious and pleading. But I was a bit dazed. Once, Henry also repeatedly posted some social media posts that were only visible to me just to make me angry. He even took wedding photos and tagged me, blatantly provoking me. At that time, Evelyn not only didn't blame him but instead accused me of being narrow-minded and unable to take a joke. Now, she finally knew how to explain, but it was too late. A sinister voice sounded from behind. Evelyn, I knew that you would definitely come to see him today. It was Henry. Under the light, his expression was even more sinister and eerie. You two can chat slowly. I'm leaving now. Ignoring Evelyn's tugging, I got in the car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, Henry was shouting hoarsely, and Evelyn slapped him in the face. It suddenly started to rain in the sky, and I closed my eyes and stopped looking. After returning to the hotel, my colleague called to ask if I was okay. He stammered, as if he had something to say. After getting my signal, he finally spoke. It turned out that in the past 6 months, Evelyn had been buried in her work, voluntarily working overtime every day, and staring blankly at the office where I used to sit. A young man often came to see her, and the two of them would often have intense quarrels. I know she has already broken up with you, but that man's emotions seem to be a bit abnormal. I still want to tell you to stay away from her. I was grateful in my heart and let out I slept until noon the next day. When I picked up my phone, I saw dozens of missed calls. Some were from Evelyn, and some were from my colleagues. The moment I answered the phone, my colleague said urgently, something has happened to Evelyn. It turned out that last night, Henry came to find her because his mother was seriously ill. Evelyn didn't believe him and even slapped him. Henry dragged her into the car like a madman and took her to the hospital. Only then did Evelyn know that Henry wasn't lying to her. When she was a child, she had received a lot of care from Henry's mother, so she couldn't just ignore it. It was said that before Henry's mother passed away, she tightly held Evelyn's hand and urged her to marry her son. I only have this one son. Auntie is begging you to take good care of him for me. Evelyn nodded while crying, but she still couldn't say the words to marry Henry. Auntie, I promise you that I will take good care of him, but I really can't marry him. I don't love him anymore. There is someone else in my heart. If I marry him, it won't be fair to him either. Henry's mother was so stimulated that she spat out a mouthful of blood and fell into a coma. After the emergency rescue, she didn't make it. Henry was heartbroken and wailed while holding his mother's body. Evelyn stayed by his side and soothed him softly. But unexpectedly, Henry shook off her hand violently and stepped onto the window of the hospital. My mother is already dead. Her last wish was to see us get married. If you don't agree, I'll jump down from here. In the past, Evelyn was very worried about Henry's safety and always put his well-being first. But later, even Henry's wrist slashing couldn't move her. Now, his threat of jumping off the building even more touched her sore spot. This is called moral kidnapping. Evelyn didn't fall for this and instead started explaining to the onlookers. People began to criticize Henry, and he finally lost his mind. What do you know? We were childhood sweethearts and were once together. She often left her ex-boyfriend for me. Doesn't this prove that she still has feelings for me? Evelyn's face turned pale, but she couldn't refute. Seeing this, the onlookers shook their heads and said that her ex-boyfriend was really pitiful. Someone started to persuade her, "Girl, you were so muddled before. This is all the karma you created yourself, and you have to atone for it yourself." As people were talking, Henry moved a little further outside. In this 12-story building, the crowd began to urge Evelyn to make a decision. At that moment, she finally understood the taste of being morally kidnapped, just like she had done to me before. Henry was a patient and needed others to give in to him, and of course, she also needed to do so. She smiled. If I promise you today and marry you, in the future, whenever you're a little unhappy, will you threaten me with your depression? Just like before, you would force me to leave James and accompany you every time. Henry was taken aback by her question and then roared as if it were only natural. So what? You promised my mother before that you would take good care of me. You belong to me, and I won't allow you to think about other men. You received a lot of care from my mother when you were a child. Isn't it only right that you take care of me now? You said it yourself. We are a family. Evelyn was so angry at his words that she laughed. She took out her phone and tried to call me, but I didn't answer. Seeing more and more people gathering, recording the scene, she compromised. Fine, I promise to marry you. Come down. When my colleague called me, I opened the online platform and saw exactly this scene. Evelyn, I told you that if you deceived my feelings, you would get your comeuppance. I just didn't expect that this retribution was far from over. After being spread by the media, the company fired Evelyn on the grounds that her family members' unstable emotions could easily affect the company's image. She wanted to come to me, but I turned her away. As a last resort, she had to go back and observe the mourning period for Henry's mother. In order to delay, she proposed to observe the mourning period for a year before getting married, but Henry vetoed it. My mother's dying wish should of course be fulfilled as soon as possible, or she won't rest in peace. Evelyn was forced to get the marriage certificate with him the next day. The wedding was held on the day I went abroad. The moment before I boarded the plane, I received a text message from her. "I'm sorry. Please believe that I really love you." I smiled, didn't respond, and turned off my phone. After landing, when I turned on my phone again, a friend told me that Evelyn was dead. She killed someone first and then committed suicide. It turned out that on their wedding night, she added a large amount of sleeping pills to the wine and knocked Henry unconscious. Then, she cut his wrist with a knife. Don't you always like to threaten me with suicide? Then you might as well really die. Anyway, after marrying you, I can already imagine that whenever there's a little unhappiness in the future, you'll morally kidnap me and make everyone despise me. You're just saying angry words, right? I can't make up for what I owe James. I hope I can make up for it a little in the next life. Henry frowned tightly, vomited continuously, and there was a pool of blood. Evelyn smiled, also cut her own wrist, lay quietly on the sofa, and closed her eyes. It was 3 days later when the landlord found their bodies. The surveillance camera in the living room recorded everything. The murderer had already committed suicide out of guilt, and the case was quickly closed. After hearing all this, I felt nothing. I raised my hand and deleted the text message Evelyn sent before her death. Evelyn, let's not meet again in the next life. A selfish person like you probably doesn't deserve a next life either.